What do Sherlock Holmes, Doctor Who, Star Trek, and Supernatural have all in common, other than they're fictional? There's a lot of fan fiction written about them. Merriam-Webster defines fan fiction as a story involving fictional characters written by fans and normally posted on the internet. Fan fiction is expected in fandom culture, also known as fan culture. Over the years, fan fiction writers have created their own language through writing fan fiction, like the term lemon. Lemon is on the citrus scale. It was a way for readers to know if there would be sexual content in the fan fiction. There's also the most notable term, OTP, which means one true pairing, and it's referring to when your favorite character and your second favorite character start a relationship. Fanfiction is found on many different websites. The most notable websites are fanfiction.net, Archive of Our Own, Wattpad, and LiveJournal, as well as Tumblr. Most of the time, fanfiction is not made for monetary gain. However, it does sometimes result in monetary gain. For example, the 50 Shades of Grey books were fanfictions of Twilight, as well as the after books and movies are fanfictions that were on Wattpad about One Direction, specifically Harry Styles. Writers who pen these works are primarily adolescent girls who are enamored by their favorite fiction. Some popular fanfictions have even branched off into its own fandom. For example, Harry Potter has its own favorite beloved fanfiction called All the Young Dudes. It is about Harry Potter's parents and their lives going to Hogwarts and through the First Wizarding War. This fanfiction was posted on Archive of Our Own by a Miss King Bean 89, and the fanfiction is 188 chapters long. Fiction is deeply connected to pop culture, and this is through poetry being used as the titles of fanfictions or music lyrics being used as titles of fanfictions. The most notable person whose music lyrics have been used for titles is Hozier. This presentation will detail the different ways girls interact with fanfiction and how it affects their social emotional growth. One way fanfiction can help adolescent girls grow through their social emotional growth is finding their identity. Erickson says adolescents face a crisis between identity and role confusion. This is because they are learning who they are and they are deciding their identity at this time. Erickson says adolescents gain identity by developing hypothetical reasoning and advancing their cognitive skills, as well as letting themselves live in different roles of life. Erickson defines that there are 4 identity statuses: diffusion, foreclosure, montanarium, and advancement. Diffusion is defined as when an adolescent is overwhelmed with the decision of choosing their identity, so they do not. Foreclosure is when the adolescent only tries to find their identity because someone told them to. Normally, it is an adult or some guardian. Montanarium is defined as an adolescent is looking for different identities. However, it has not yet found one. Achievement is when they find their identity and they've gone through many identities before that. Fiction helps adolescent girls achieve montanarium and achievement. C. Rosenblatt and Rebecca Turnett interviewed a girl named Libertinia to talk about the positives that fanfiction has created in her life. Libertinia states that fanfiction had helped her gain confidence and find her own voice when she is writing. Even though fanfiction is based off of pop culture, it opens up the door that adolescents can have through finding their identity. They get to try on their own identity, they get to write characters who they aspire to be, and through those characters they try on these different identities and different facets of life. They gain confidence in their writing. They publish their writing on public forums for many people to critique them. An example of adolescent girls trying on different identities is the Mary Sue. Mary Sue is a term that means that the writer has obviously put themselves in their narrative. Normally, these Mary Sues are demure, they're either smart, they have multiple different aspirable personalities. This is an example of adolescents trying on these identities that they feel that they aren't ready to put into their normal life through fanfiction. Fanfiction starts the conversation about ethnic identity. Ethnic identity is defined as the act of feeling a part of their ethnic group and learning their unique customs and traditions of their group's culture and heritage. There are 3 stages of ethnic identity. The first stage is the adolescent does not want to examine their ethnic identity. They don't see the reason why. The second stage is when the adolescent starts looking into their personal impact of their ethnic background and why it's important for them to learn. The third and final stage is when the adolescent understands their ethnic background and accepts it. Fanfiction can be the start of the conversation for those adolescents. Through writing fanfiction, they write their personal customs, the customs they're used to as well. They read fanfiction from multiple different places. Fanfiction is not just centralized in the United States. Many cultures also write fanfiction. Fanfiction can even be used to learn other languages. Through the globalization of fanfiction, it helps the adolescent girl realize that they should be looking into their ethnic background if they know what it is. And if they don't, they start questioning why they don't know. If you talk to someone who is in fandom culture, they'll tell you one of the biggest struggles is when people outside of the culture start thinking that fanfiction is just about sex and romance. However, there is a big connection with fanfiction and learning about sexuality. In a study done in 2008, around 2/3 of American teenagers will have had a romantic relationship by their end of their senior year of high school. It's an essential factor of adolescents' growth to be in a romantic relationship as well as other friendships. Biologically, adolescents are impulsive, and without proper education, lead to unprotected sex and unwanted pregnancies. Reading and writing fanfiction can help adolescent girls find their sexuality. It gives them a safe way to explore who they want and what they want in life. Flash fiction is a type of fanfiction that deals with a pairing of the same sex. Through the exploration of same-sex relationships through fanfiction can broaden the adolescent girl's experience to the LGBTQIA+ community. Rosenblatt and Trishnet wrote about a conversation they had with another woman named Lillian. Lillian said that she used fanfiction to explore her sexuality. I relied on fanfiction to give me these queer storylines and explore as a proxy the spectrum of sexuality and gender. It was through fanfiction that I first learned the term asexual, which after further research I now identify. This shows that fanfiction is a safe place that girls can learn and explore who they are. Another example of sexuality through fanfiction is the Omegaverse. The Omegaverse was based on the hierarchy of wolves and is popular in many different fandoms. In the fanfictions, the Omegas will bear the children in the relationship as well as getting pregnant, and the alphas will be the ones impregnating them. The way that adolescent girls as well as adult women reckon with the fact of their gender fluidity. There's a power about reading fanfiction about characters who are different in sexuality to you. It makes you more tolerant to different sexualities and not just ones that you are used to. Fanfiction also opens up the conversation about sex and how to do it safely. As well, it can bring up conversations that adolescent girls might have with their parents. It makes them less fearful and embarrassed to ask questions. Romance is also important in fanfiction. Many romantic relationships in adolescence start off as friendships and then grow to become more serious relationships later in the adolescent process. However, adults think teenage relationships are very fickle or very dangerous and they should not be in a relationship. Research shows that a romantic relationship in adolescence is crucial. It is where the adolescent learns what they want and what they don't want, and how to model that throughout their lives. It also teaches them self-confidence and self-esteem as to ask someone out on a date and how to treat them on a date as well in a relationship. Fanfiction is an outlet where girls can explore what they want in a relationship and what they don't want, and what is dangerous. It is a safe way to model the dangerous relationships they see and harmful relationships they see throughout their lives to these characters instead of repeating these processes. Allison Cummings talks about how in the fanfiction written for Twilight, there is a primary focus on testing the love that Edward has for Bella. These characters are puppets for adolescents to put their problems on safely. Some girls think about the future, getting married and what that would look like. Through the lens of fanfictions, girls can figure out the traits that they want and how they want to be treated in the relationship. Girls also use fanfiction to test love and see how couples react to problems and hardships in life and how to get through that while still staying as a couple. This shows that fanfiction can be used as a stepping stone and a blueprint of how they want to treat themselves and how they want to be treated and how they want their lives in future to go. Lastly, fanfiction can be used as a coping mechanism. 20% of girls at the age of 17 have symptoms of depression. Depression is defined as a nonstop feeling of sadness and hopelessness. Can be insomnia and self-esteem issues as well as irritability. There are many ways to treat depression, medicine, and cognitive behavioral therapy. Fanfiction can be used as a coping skill. Rosenblatt and Tirschnet wrote about talking to a woman named Amanda. Amanda said, "Producing and consuming fan-created media has remained constant for all of these years. I'm not saying that they have been easy ones, but the community has helped me through art rather than through violence. And it's been 5 years since I last took a blade to my own skin." This is an example how fanfiction can save people's lives. There has been a study done by the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention in 2015 that found that girls are 2 times more likely to attempt suicide than boys. Suicide is very spontaneous and there are not many warning signs. However, a comorbidity of suicide is depression. Many people with depression do at least try to commit suicide throughout their lives. Fanfiction can be seen as creative writing therapy. Creative writing therapy is a type of therapy also known as expressive writing, created by James W. Penn Baker in the 1980s. It is defined as someone writing down their thoughts, feelings, and emotions as well as traumas, and they express it creatively. Creative writing therapy is an alternate therapy for people who have trouble with regular talk therapy because they struggle with finding the specific spoken words for their emotions and their traumas. So it's easier for them to write it down in a poetic way or a fictional way or any creative way. In conclusion, fanfiction is a great way for the social emotional growth to develop in adolescent girls. This is through them trying on different identities and figuring out which one they really want to bring out into their daily life. They can start a conversation about their ethnic identity and find out other people's ethnic identity through the globalization of fanfiction. They can learn about their sexuality and other people's sexuality and how to be tolerant of that. They can model romantic relationships that they want themselves to be in later in life, as well as they can figure out what they don't want to be in later in life. Lastly, fanfiction is a coping skill for many girls that suffer with depression, anxiety, and other mental health struggles. I hope after listening to this presentation, you don't get weirded out when someone says, I read fan fiction or I write fan fiction, because this is a way that adolescent girls and people can communicate and build a community from. Thank you.